I never did know what a delayed chase was. You know, a dog point a bird, bird fly off down there, and you're going off this way, and the dog want to go over there. That's only natural. If a dog starts over there, I don't fault him for it. I fault him because the guy tells him to come back and he won't come back. That's not handling. Then that's a sin, you know what I mean? But if he just wants to go over that way, it's only natural that a dog would want to go that way. But if you say, here, come here, here, no dog will turn and go on with you, that shows the dog will handle. No perfect dog. I never seen one.
Yeah, right.
There's never no perfect dog. But there's some of them more perfect than others, you know.
How do you hide those imperfections?
Best way to train them is, the best way to do it is train a little harder.
Sure, that's
that
true.
Hides it real quick.
No, every dog's got some hole. I mean, it's difficult. There are a few dogs that don't, but
No, they all got some.
they
They all got holes.
Some people are. Yeah, but what do you do to hide them?
Well, maybe some judges don't notice them as much. A few years ago, two things happened to me that never happened before. And I had an old dog, and the old dog run good, you know. And so he'd had 4 or 5 fines, and I thought, well, I'd get a good finish out of it. And the wind was blowing the way the dog was going, so I didn't say anything. Directly, he was way out there, you know, just hooking it, you know. So the judge just rode up to me, and he said, West, he said, can you turn that dog? And I said, well, I'll try. And I squalled at him, and he turned like this and started back. He said, that's all right, pick him up. And I won the championship with him, see? But I'm sure if I hadn't been able to turn him, I might not have got the job done. But when I turned him, and I squalled at him, and he turned. Then I had another guy, an old dog pointed, and Dean Lord was down running dog with me. And his old dog pointed off. My dog pointed. His dog pointed over in a ditch. Half the people with me and half the people with him. So this old dog had about 5 or 6 fines, and he rode over and he said, that son bitch really point birds, will he back? And he said, dang, I hollered over and said, hey, don't flush that bird over there. And he said, take that dog over there, and I see him back. Now, I've never had that done to me in a field trial, but he done it to me, an old boy from Amarillo, Texas. So that kind of put you on the spot, you know. And especially in those kind of situations, because there's always people off of horses or something, and a lot of distraction around something like that, see. Especially after having to sit there and wait, you know. And I hate to get in that situation. I got out of it all right, but it is a kind of a touchy situation, just obedience. If your dog will mind you, you can squall him off them hills in yonder, you know. But you have to work at that too. But I've had some dogs, I had some setters that really run on. And what I said, I put this particular time, I put chains on this bitch. I'd turn her loose, and then I'd just start following her. I'd holler at her as she's going away. And then I'd just start riding. Sometimes it'd be a mile before I'd catch her. It was out there at Bakersfield. We had 15,000 acres. And I'd ride back in there sometimes and think, well, you're going to never find her. If you stay in there, well, you'd find her. And I'd get off, just ride up on her and holler, whoa. Boy, she'd say, where'd you come from, you know? And it was really funny. When that bitch finally found out that she couldn't get by with that, I've had her run in there just as far as you can see and out of sight, and I've seen her coming back looking for me just the same way. And quick as she saw me, and I just hear her holler, yeah, now, and she just turned and go right back to the front, rattle my chain for me, see.
They learned that.
And I broke her that, 1, 2,
Run in and out, and come in and go out.
One thing you can do is just kind of ride toward him, and some dogs are just kind of that away. In other words, it's just they don't want what it is. They really not running dogs. You understand what I mean? In other words, and you're trying to make a running dog out of him, and you can push him out there. You can push him out there, but you can't make him hunt, you know. But you can kind of ride and turn him and make him go out, you know. But a lot of dogs are just that away. They're not the most ideal dog to make a field trial. A setter one time. This setter was a big run shooting dog. Didn't quite run enough. And Rod said, let's make her run. And I said, well, how are we going to do that? So he'd get her out there, and we'd start to turn her loose, and he'd blow that whistle just like he wanted her to run. And he had this flushing whip, and he'd start not hitting her hard, just whipping her this thing out of the way and blowing that whistle. Turn her loose, and man, she'd smoke it out there. I mean, she'd smoke, boy, getting out there, you know. Won 4 championships with her. But that's the way he taught her to run. That as long as he's blowing that whistle at her, she was hooking it, you know. But he trained her to run with a whistle.
To hook like that.
Well,
I go out First thing you know, they'll be wanting to hook behind you.
That's just some dogs will do that. Maybe you're going with the wind or something. He's trying to hunt back into the wind. Got a lot of honey in him. And he's trying to hunt back into the wind because he hates to run. A dog that hunts good hates to run into the wind, right straight into the wind. You see what I mean? Or he hates to run with the wind, where there's quite a bit of breeze. He's always hooking off this way and trying to catch the breeze. And you'll see him going off this way with his head turned in the breeze. See? A lot of dogs like that. It's kind of hard to break an old dog that. Usually them old dogs that run straight into the wind, they don't hunt.
Right.
In other words, he just hears the wind go by his ears. And if he happens to run home something, he'll point it, but he's not hunting because he can't hunt and run straight into.
Is a pointer easier to train than all the other breeds?
A pointer is easier to train than a lot of other continental breeds. They got a little more bird dog in them. That makes those people mad to say that, but it's true, They have a little more bird dog in them than the others. Now, they're not dogs that, on average, you can beat around. You know what I mean? You have to train him. If you don't, you start beating and stomping on them, half of them will go haywire, But setters, everybody said, well, you can't break setters until they're 2 years old. That's a bunch of crap, if you don't break him by the time he is 2 years old, you got a lot of troubles. Because he'll be a self-hunter for sure, and turn you off, and you think he can't get. Now I've got a problem. He has got a problem, because the dog is just running out there and playing games, and then he's got to stop all that. And then when he starts stopping it, the old dog says, well, I don't like this, because, I've been doing this for a long time, and, I like to continue to do it, and then he gets sour, and don't want to point birds or nothing, So it's better to start out with them when they're young, and you don't force them, but you're training them, and the first thing you know, they're just like a pointer. I can't see any difference in a good setter and a good pointer myself.
What do you look for in a pup?
Huh?
What do you look for in a pup? If you're wanting a dog, it's a field trial dog, and you're looking at a pup that's, say, 6 months old, what do you want to see?
I want to see a dog that'll go with me through here and run over y'all on them hills. And then if I go turn off this way, I can sing to him, and I can see him come off them hills and go me in any direction where I'm at. And I take those little pups like this size, when I get through running dogs, about a mile of the windmill, get on the horse, turn 3 or 4 of them loose, just ride across there, and just real slow, and the pups running through that grass, and every once in a while they'll find a covey of birds, and they'll chase them, and they'll chase them little old hawks around and things. But it teaches them to go with you. In other words, they learn that you're on a horse, and it teaches them kind of go with you. Then the good ones will separate themselves from the others, you know what I mean? You don't have to go very long till you can see the ones that's got it and the ones that don't have it.
Towards the front puppy and they're getting into birds, that's the time to start working them on a check board.
Well, when you got a puppy that's out there, and we'll say that you was out there and you found some young pheasants. In other words, and the puppy bumped them maybe, and maybe you jump off a horse, catch him, put a check line on him, check line him around in those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they get up, just stop him and everything. Like I was telling the guys here, you guys got the best opportunity in the world. I can take a pup here, or half a dozen pups, and if these farmers let me walk their ditch banks and the edge of their fields and everything, and find those young pheasants before the summer's over with, I can break a bunch of dogs, believe me. Just by leading them around on them pheasants. When they're big enough, they won't run off from them, They're still small enough they can fly. And you get in there and the old hen will fly, and you can stop the dog. You've already got him standing, go in there and kick the young ones up, And every once in a while, if you're leading him that way, he'll point one, in the grass. And this is all work,
So it's actually kind of BS that you have to wait until a dog's pointing before you start messing with Grub.
Go, but if you run him long enough and he was a bird dog, he'd start pointing.
Yeah, I heard that from Grub years ago in the Midwest. He came down and did a seminar, and he said, when do you start the pups? And he said, well, when do you start breaking the pups? And he said, well, when they start pointing birds.
Yeah.
There'd be guys waiting for 10 years waiting for their dog pointing, but Dave Grubb said it, so we did it,
Well,
he changed it, by the way.
That's the old.
Take some of the instinct or the desire out of them to run and hunt by keeping them in close when you're working with them all the time.
Well, he's kind of a bird dog. I say you want to take a puppy and let him learn to run, and he'll find his range, what he's going to run at. If he's running in range at that you can control him,
I'll
that's
take
fine.
run out of a dog. I wish the hell I'd started when he was 1 month old.
Puppies to hunting dog guys, and they always want to know how to do certain things. And a lot of calls I get is they want to keep their dog in a little closer. I mean, we're not obviously interested in that, but a lot of guys are. What about doing that when you want to keep the dog in really close, like 50 to 100 yards, which is where most hunting dog guys want to
According to the terrain you're hunting. In other words, if you can see the dog out down there at that trees down there, you can let him run over there. You can let him run over a quarter of a mile.
Yeah, well, most hunting guys don't have their dog broken up to be able to trust them to do that because they won't stand the bird long enough. And most of the time, it makes them nervous as hell to have the dog over there. You and I watched a few dogs. I haven't watched that many dogs.
Well,
I know you have.
If you teach
It'll
the dog
make you
to stay
nervous, but
with
it makes
you,
them nervous, you know.
if you put buggy straps on him and take him out there and meet him, I have to, hey, this is where the action is. And he just tickled to death with it.
Maybe a ACT
Well, field trial dog is trained no different than a gun dog. You know what I mean? They're all trained the same way, you know what I mean? Now they do have different ranges and all that kind of stuff, but they're all trained the same way. I don't know any other way to train them. In other words, it's all done.
all age differently.
You don't train them no different than anything else. In other words, and anybody that says they got an answer to that, I'd like to hear it myself because I've never figured out how to get the right time and do that, and you'll never have to. If you want a meat dog, you never have to break it.
I have a setter that I got when she's 11 months old, and that's all I ever did with her. I was in the meat dog stage then, and she'll hold pheasants out there to 200 yards just like any other dog.
Yeah, well, in other words, there was no training.
There was no training at all.
In other words, she's learned that she can't catch them. And if she'll wait there, stand there and hold them, you'll come up and shoot them, see? But that's an ideal situation, and when you get a young dog that's at the right age, and the right time comes along and bird season opens, you got a golden opportunity right there, you know. A lot of times you don't have to, you'll see a guy, well, I hunt my dog, and he points birds, holds birds, and he never puts one in the air, you know, without it flies or something. He'll wait for me to get there and shoot it, you know. And that was the luck of having the puppy at the right age and everything. See? Now he ain't gonna be a trained dog,
No.
but he'll do you a meat job. Yep. Terrific meat job. And the only way you get disgusted with him is get in a situation where somebody has got to train him.
So then, since then I've had a trained dog, and it's a lot more fun.
Yeah, in other words, you run up against somebody that has got a good trained dog, and directly you get to feel like maybe I should train mine a little more. It didn't back right, it didn't stop right, and it didn't do this, it didn't do that, and you go to compare it, see, but it'll get the table, it'll get the platter full.
Some dogs just take a longer time in really developing a sense of what the hell's going on out there. That
Just like
just
people.
birds and
Just like people, they're just like people, you know, if all of them are the same, you go out there and do the same thing to every one of them and it all turn out the same. But it ain't that way. That's where
Every one of them turns out different.
that's where you gotta have the dog psychology, figure out what do I do with this dog to make him understand what I want him to do without confusing his mind and getting him all screwed up, see? So that's where and the only way that you're gonna do that is through experience. You ain't gonna get out a book. I'm not gonna tell you, might give you an idea, but you gotta go out there and work